Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and most people have probably realised this, but if you haven't, I am an atheist. Now what I mean by this is I don't believe that there is a God, I've not been provided with enough evidence that there is a God, and I'm not going to take it on faith that there is a God. But despite me not believing in any gods, there is actually a story in the Bible that I find really interesting, and that is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now obviously I don't believe that the events of Sodom and Gomorrah actually happened, but as a story, especially a story that people try to draw moral conclusions from, I find it really interesting. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of people arrive at different conclusions about what the moral message of the story is. Obviously the more homophobic people, and some edgy atheists that want everything in the Bible to be bad, will say that, oh, it just means that gay people bad. Some other people take it to mean that hedonism is bad, or you should always provide hospitality to guests. But I'm here to provide a completely different perspective on the story that I haven't really heard anyone bring up before. Now, I'm sure that there are people that have the same perspective that I have on the story. However, I haven't really heard people talk about it. Now, this might be because it doesn't spark controversy, or it might be because there are other passages in the Bible that would seem to contradict it. But for today, I want to just kind of ignore all the other horrible stuff that happens in the Bible because I don't really think that it's too relevant. So just as a recap for the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, essentially there are these two towns called Sodom and Gomorrah. I bet you didn't know that. Anyway, God speaks to Abraham about Sodom and Gomorrah and says, yeah, this place seems like it's not really a great place, so I'm going to go check. And then Abraham says to God, you're not going to destroy it, are you? You know, if there is 50 good people there, is it really worth killing those 50 good people just to get rid of the wickedness in Sodom and Gomorrah? And then God says, yeah, you got a point, so if there is 50 good people there, I will not destroy it. And then Abraham says, but what about 45 good people? And then God says, if there's 45 good people there, I will not destroy it. And then Abraham goes, okay, what about 40? To which God goes, okay, if there's 40 good people there, I will not destroy it. And then Abraham continues going, okay, but what about 30 good people? And then God goes, okay, if there's 30 good people there, I will not destroy it. And then Abraham goes, okay, hear me out. What if there's 20 good people there? And then God, who you've got to imagine might be getting kind of annoyed at this whole thing, says, okay, if there are 20 good people, then I will not destroy it. And then Abraham says, don't be angry, but this is the last one. What if there are 10 good people there? And then God says, okay, if there are 10 good people there, I will not destroy it. By the way, that whole conversation is an actual thing that happens in the Bible. Not the exact way that I described it, of course, but it does happen in Genesis chapter 18. I say this because even just reading it, it kind of seems a bit like parody. Yeah, I get that it was written thousands of years ago, but it just looks a bit like a parody of the Bible rather than the actual Bible. Anyway, what happens next is God sends a couple of angels to Sodom. And when they get there, they are greeted by Lot. Who's Lot? Well, just so happens to be Abraham's nephew. So Lot says to the angels, you know, you should crash at mine tonight. But the angels go, no, we're just going to the square. But Lot is all like, no, I insist. So the angels go to Lot's house and Lot lights some nice candles, cooks a nice dinner, you know, the kind of stuff that you do for angels. But before they get the chance to go to bed, everybody in the city has decided to go to Lot's house. Why have they done this? Well, apparently they all want to have sex with the angels. So everyone's demanding to Lot, let us have sex with the men in your house. And Lot says, chill. I have daughters. Lot goes on to say, I am protecting the men in my house, so you're not going to have sex with them. But my daughters, they're virgins, so have sex with them all you want. And then the people of Sodom say, no, we want the men, because I guess angels just look better than everyone. So the angels say to Lot, okay, get everybody that you care about and get them out of this place because we're going to nuke this place off the map. Now, Lot goes to his sons-in-laws and tells them to get out of the place, otherwise it's going to be destroyed. And they say to him, we're talking about you, Drago. So Lot goes back to the angels and they're like, you know, just get your wife and your daughters and get them the hell out of here. So Lot gets his wife and daughters and the angels say, look, run to the mountains, do not stop, and do not look back. But Lot says, there's a town nearby, can't I just go there? So the angels are like, okay, go there, but make it quick. So they go to the town, and when they get there, God rains fire and brimstone down on Sodom and Gomorrah, but Lot's wife looks back at Sodom and turns to salt. I guess you could say she was a little bit salty about having to leave. Oh, everyone just left. I wonder why that was. Anyway, that is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and you can kind of understand why people might reach the conclusions that I talked about earlier. However, I kind of have a different take on it. So let's start with the obvious. The people of Sodom didn't really seem to be like great people. Like, regardless of what gender the angels were, a whole town of people shouldn't just force themselves onto someone like that. Also, Lot offering his daughters instead of the angels, definitely weird. It's showing some kind of bias there, I think. But yeah, I can definitely see why God might want to wipe Sodom and Gomorrah off the map. But I'm sure that's opinions that people already had on the story and not really bringing anything new. So on to the next thing. So I think this story is all about carpet bombing areas with innocent people. At least a portion of it is. And it's about how you shouldn't do that. It's not telling you to go carpet bomb areas. Now, I am of course somewhat joking, but I'm also being somewhat serious. Like, I don't think that the writers of the Bible were sitting down thinking, you know, we're gonna have to tell the people in the future that these weapons that they have, these carpet bombs, they shouldn't use them on innocent people. But one of the core messages there does seem to be that getting rid of evil should not come at the expense of innocent lives. It's a reading of the story that I get because Abraham has that conversation with God about Sodom and Gomorrah and saying, look, what if there's 50 innocent people there, and then works his way and says, what about 10 innocent people? Even if you're trying to get rid of as much evil in the world as you can, is it really worth innocent people dying to achieve that goal? Now obviously it's a lot more complicated than that, because there is the question of how much harm are you causing versus how much harm are you preventing. And I feel like that was kind of touched upon, but it is only a small part of Genesis, so I can understand why they didn't go into detail about all that kind of morality and stuff. But given that that is a message that you can get out of that story, I would like to see more Christians talk about Sodom and Gomorrah in that context. Because the angels did tell Lot and his family to basically get out of there, and did hold off on destroying the towns until Lot and his family had reached safety. So you can see one of the themes of the story is the importance of saving innocent lives. Well, at least until Lot's wife turns to salt. But that part kind of does feel like the convenient setup to some kind of sequel. Now I do want to touch on something else, but this is more of the atheist part of me speaking. In this story it kind of feels like God isn't all-knowing. Because when God talks to Abraham, shouldn't he just know how many good people are in Sodom and Gomorrah? It just feels kind of weird to me that someone who is all-knowing would have to go and check that. Although it could be that the Christian God isn't all-knowing, or it could be that the story isn't meant to be taken literally. Now obviously I'm an atheist, and I think this is stories made up by people, and sometimes stories are meant to try and teach a lesson. When I read the story, I feel like one of the lessons that it's trying to teach is sacrificing innocent people is not worth getting rid of evil. And you know, I'd rather that be the reading that Christians take of it, rather than this homophobic reading that a fair number of people do take from it. I mean, I guess it's not mutually exclusive, but homophobia is bad, just don't do it, okay? Alright, seeing as I just single-handedly ended homophobia, leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. Leave a comment letting me know what sort of videos you'd like me to do in the future. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, SHaKie, Wolfie, Morrie, Graymore Ghost, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, Militant Agnostic, Kitten, McKitten from Kitten Down, and Craig D'Amelio. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon, there should be a link there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, we're doing the beat.